this recording is a suggestion of how to organize your research. As you write an argument paper, you have to do research so that you know what you're trying to argue. And so this is a suggestion of how to organize that. As you can see on my screen here, the first thing I did is I pulled up a new Google Doc. I titled it Vaccine Research because I'm going to research. I'm going to argue in favor of vaccinations, but I have to collect reasons both for vaccinations and against vaccinations. So what I would do as I'm doing my research is I've got a couple of, of course I got procon.org here, and I've got Parent Magazine. I've just found a few articles where I could quote sources or learn about it. So let me flip to that page. So as I'm doing my research, I might find quotes or something that I might possibly want to use later in my paper, or just quotes or things, facts that I want to remember as I write my paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a document that has all of my research on it. So I have my document, I've titled it Vaccine Research, and I'm going to, at the top of every page, I'm going to put the title of whatever I'm reading. So this one's Should Any Vaccines Be Required for Children? Should, and I'm going to abbreviate that, be required for children. And then I'm also going to put the web address. And this is so I can go back to it later because I'm going to need it. All right, I'm going to need that web address when time comes to write my paper. And you can keep that hyperlink so that you can just click back over it. Now, as I go through and I read, I can read more background here. There's my overview, early history of something. Let's say, let's see. I could go through and read this. Let's say I want this piece. I think, oh, that's interesting. I could probably use that. I'm going to quote that. I would just simply highlight and copy that, and then I'm just going to paste that, and I probably want to indent it, or maybe even bullet point it or something like that, just to separate it, and I'm going to paste that in there, right? And then this is all from the same website. So let's say I want this one. I like that statistic right there, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. And let's say I go to this one now. Vaccines contain harmful ingredients and aluminum, whatever. I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to paste it right there. All right, so I know when I go back to write my paper, I know that everything that I have right here on this page comes from this website. So I can quote this directly in my paper, or I can summarize it and paraphrase it right into my paper, but I know where that source comes from. Let's say I'm done with everything on that page. So what I am going to do now is I am going to start another article. So 8 reasons parents don't vaccinate and why they should. 8 reasons. I don't know why that's highlighted in color, but it doesn't really matter. I'm never the teacher, Mrs. Bingham, me, and should. I am never actually going to look at this page. This page is simply for you to keep track of your research. So you organize it the way that you understand it best. This is my suggestion. And I really don't like all of that shading. It's going to bother me. But this is an example, so it should be fine. All right, so here are some. The truth, parents in the 70s, my child's immune system, the truth, it's safer to delay. There is no proof that spacing out vaccines is safer. And I'm going to just copy all of that. And I'm going to paste it right here. And then I am going to go back to the same article. And let's say I want this one, trace amounts of formaldehyde. I might have to go back and read this one. Formaldehyde does not sound good. All right, and then I'm going to go back in. I know that any of these bullet pointed things, these are vaccines don't really work anyway. Look at last year's flu vaccine. Well, that's kind of my excuse, but you know, measles, mumps, rubella, that it helps for that. But anyway, so I know that anything here that I have copied and pasted, if I want to use any of this word for word, then I have to, it comes from this source, and I put it in quotation marks and I put it in my paper. I've got another one here, and I'm really close to the end of my page, so I might just skip to the next page. 6 reasons. Now this is a con. I plan on arguing pro, but it is really important to understand what the con people are saying, because I have to have a counterclaim or rebuttal in my paper. So it's kind of nice to know what the other side thinks and what the other side says, so that I can counter that before, if I need to. All right, so same thing here. You're going to copy and paste the website, and you're just going to paste it right there. And I like this bullet point thing, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to copy. Let's see. Pharmaceuticals companies can't be trusted. That sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, but that's why I'm not arguing for it. But this is counterclaim research, so I can, let's see, right here, let's see. Now, if this were real life, if I were really going to write this paper, I would actually be reading this before I copied and pasted it on there, but I'm just doing this really quick for this video. All right, so that's kind of how, and then from this point on, what I would do is I would have, while I write my argument essay, I would have this paper open, and I know exactly where all my research comes from, and I know exactly what I'm going to quote. Now from here, when it's time to write your paper, you want to use all of this information on this document in order to create an works cited is what it's called, but it's a bibliography, your resources at the end of your paper. And if you'll go and watch the next video, or the video up in Canvas about how to set up a bibliography, then you'll see how I use this page to help me write my essay.